Welcome to the album review for Father of Four by Migos member Offset. I'm really happy that this album came out because myself, along with many of the other Migos fans and spectators sitting on the sidelines looking at the Migos and their superstardom, can end the conversation and discussion of who is the best Migo, the conversation that we've been having for the past 3, 4, 5 years or so. And I've always said it was Offset from a technical rapping point of view, from an entertainment aspect. But another point about Offset that I feel majority of people miss when it comes to listening to Migos in their entirety as a collective is Offset by far, as a Migo member, has the best marketing out of all of them. The last 2 quarters of 2018 consisted of nothing but Offset and him dealing with his relationship issues. He's also connected to one of the biggest stars in the industry right now. And of course, from a technical aspect, I'm looking at Offset like he's the best Migo. I want to hear an album from the best Migo. That's why I'm listening to it, but I can't just say it's that. On this project, he had far more to respond to than someone like a QUAVO or a Takeoff. Prior to this project and after listening to it, Offset proves he is probably the only Migo member with a presence or personality. We hear nothing from QUAVO or Takeoff unless it's music, and unfortunately the content within the music that they do make is so bare that we really don't have anything to look to for entertainment. That lack of content from albums like The Last Rocket and QUAVO Huncho didn't make up for their lack of presence or personality outside of the music that they made. For the most part, a lot of people were looking to Takeoff to have the most dynamic flow of the group and looking for QUAVO because he was probably the best hook man of the group. But I don't feel either of their projects were standouts because people were looking for content from them or looking for either of them to respond to anything. Meanwhile, we have Offset, who is unintentionally the best marketed Migos, responding to his children, being in the limelight the most, being connected to Cardi B, his infidelity, his rumors of cheating and scandal from last year, him having this whole apology tour to win back Cardi B, made people who are not only not fans of Migos interested in Offset and the relationship he and Cardi B share, but their daughter as well. Offset even continues the theme of good marketing by the title of this album, Father of Four, suggesting that it's going to be a much more mature album than that was released from his counterparts in Migos. Album cover art, despite how generic and bad it actually is, also suggests that the theme of this album is going to be filled with things that Offset holds near and dear, not just possessions that you can buy at a Gucci store, which comes up in this project. Really bad timing. So the intro track starts off with some spoken word from Big Rube, who's an Atlanta artist. For those unfamiliar with him, you can see him participating in work that was released from Outkast, Killer Mike. You also have his contribution to the movie ATL. He makes the argument on Offset's behalf in his intro that Offset isn't a character that wanted to exist to start any discord. The way he is and the way he was is simply stemming from a lack of information that needs to be rehabilitated. He makes the argument that Offset wants you to know that there's much more to him than what's advertised, the one side that you see, but not to completely abandon your view of him because some of that is still true. Offset does still like flashy things, he does still do ignorant shit from time to time, but that's not his entire makeup. Honestly, a vast majority of Big Rube's intro could sum up what the intro track is supposed to be for Offset, but Offset continues with more content, apologizing to the 3 children that the media doesn't even seem to fucking cover. All that seems to matter to the media is culture, which makes sense. I mean, she's the daughter of one of the bigger megastars, but at the same time, having that much detail about this one individual while the other 3 remain kind of forgotten would make any father feel kind of guilty, and I see why Offset would need to make a public apology to his children, because he wants them to know, I love you just as much as her. It's just, I wasn't in the position that I was in when I had you, now that I have her, and I'm sorry for that. On track number 2, he examines how, with everything being against him at birth and a bad hand being dealt his way, how he was able to get to the position that he's in right now. I really do love and appreciate how Offset is appreciative of his position and his lack of belief in it, but the beat and his flow for this track are so incredibly monotonous, and at one point it seems like he's reading out of a rhyming dictionary. Partial, Marshall, motion, potion, grossing, toasting. I get it. J. Cole's feature acts as a great breakup of the monotony and tonelessness of the track thus far, and I do like how he talks about how people don't do anything about witnessing crime, but his verse at the same time is just okay. Maybe if Offset didn't go on for as long as he did, J. Cole may have been able to fit a little bit more intensity into his verse. Lick, from a subject matter point of view, is extremely self-explanatory, explaining how he went from taking for a living to giving. Those forms of giving come in the form of him developing a trust for his children, acknowledging his history, and likening himself to 21 Savage, who he acknowledges has been going through a lot legally. Kind of also describing and detailing how hard it is for a man from the street to do well, because these situations tend to happen and bring you back. He also talks about how his circumstances and his single parent household hastened his decision to live a life of crime, by way of lines like, "Mama had the boy by herself, it was critical," just meaning that he didn't have time to really think about what he had to do outside of immediate income. Beat seems simple and is so imperative to a track like this. As he's explaining his story, he's bouncing from point A to point B, but so is the instrumental. Made Man, Wild Wild West, and Tats On My Face, as far as a subject matter point of view, are all fodder tracks in comparison to what Offset's talking about on majority of this album. They all have some pretty decent production, especially Tats On My Face, that I guess deepens the bass line that it already had. I mean, your subs are going to be going crazy if you're playing that in the car, so Tats On My Face is easily one of my favorite tracks for that alone. But then we get to Northstar, which might be Offset's most beautifully written track. The transition from Offset's first to second verse, where he raps over just the bass line and guitar, is godlike. During his second verse, where he goes from being absorbed by the reverb to letting his listeners know that he's got to stay strong despite his humanity, despite what's going on with him internally, despite the loneliness that comes with shining so bright. There's nothing else in sight, not even darkness, to the extent that you feel you're the only one that exists, but you are a necessary existence. As it pertains to leading the pack, as he describes in one line on this track, can not only be used to associate him with leading parts of the younger era of the rap game, but also his children, his family. He's got to be an example. He's got to kind of strip down his humanity and become an existence necessary for them, a guiding light like a North Star. The way he describes it on this track, even when he's talking about being addicted to lean and not being able to sleep without it, to his mom, and not being able to go to anyone else with his issues, it's kind of like he's describing himself as though his existence is a necessary depression, kind of implying there is no one to lead or guide the North Star. Instead, the star's job is just supposed to be a leading or a guiding light to others. Despite how much of an eye roll somebody might get based off the title of a track like this, it coming from somebody like Offset, it's actually really sad when you think about it. And CeeLo's performance comes in at the perfect time. He adds such a supremacy to this track. Alan Ritter, Dre Moon, and Metro Boomin do a great job with the track After Dark, adding a dimly lit backdrop to the already dark subject matter that Offset was already bringing forth. On Don't Lose Me, Offset offers an apology to Cardi B for his previous infidelity, kind of recounting on everything that they've acquired together that he heavily values, including their daughter culture. Listen, I appreciate that Offset loves his wife, but if it weren't for the subject matter on this track, the cheating apology is the only thing that keeps this track alive for me. I do appreciate that he didn't feel the need to go all R&B Offset though. Rob set.
You are living proof that God has a sense of humor.
That was terrible.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Why would you say?
Offset has a very effective flow to be able to clear 3 hooks and 3 verses on a track like Underrated, though I do feel like it represents a problem that plagues a lot of these tracks, where Offset tends to start the hook or the chorus for the song before the first verse, which kind of makes it take a weird dip as far as the energy is concerned. For me personally, I don't know if anybody else experiences that. And 21 Savage is easily the best part of a track like Legacy. I feel like they pushed the Travis Scott button way too early in this track. It's still a pretty decent song. Offset's flow is pretty cool on the track as well, and I really do like 21's diss to 6ix9ine as he refers to his blicky, then mentioning someone taking the stand to turn Mickey, also referencing how people tell when shit gets sticky. I thought the scheme for that was incredible. Clout has a very infectious piano, and I really do like how funny Offset and Cardi B's lines are on this track. My bitch on your ass, Kim K. No disrespect, the nigga tripping, but we love yay. And Cardi B also sounded incredibly comfortable on her feature, adding to the idea of a clout chaser by saying what people are willing to do. Bitches is brandy, they want to be down. Soon as these bitches got something to sell, they say my name, Destiny's Child. He also mentions how public opinion comes from private accounts. I thought that was kind of funny. I really hope she wrote a verse. Red Room kind of comes across as if Offset's life is flashing before his eyes. I don't know if he made this track specifically in reference to his car accident, filled with content from his car crash to his aftercare, from his perception of young black men in America to him losing family either through death or betrayal. I really do feel like Red Room could have been a pretty good sum up of everything we've heard off the album so far. Came a Long Way is a cool track in my opinion, but not strong enough to close out everything that I felt like was on this project. I mean, How Did I Get Here and Came a Long Way are essentially two tracks that deal with the same thing. One comes near the intro of the album, the other one comes at the end of the album. I expected a little bit of filler in this album, so I wasn't disappointed there. Got a couple of good tracks. But I do think that there is a baseline of entertainment that this album doesn't tend to go beneath at any point. While I do wish the mood of this album was a little bit more explosive, a little bit more high energy, I do understand why it wasn't. It also sets him apart from the production that I got off of QUAVO Huncho or The Last Rocket. More interesting at the very least, a lot of production from Southside and Metro Boomin. My slight gripes with the production aside, the main highlight of this project really is the content. The lyrical content. And even at its worst moment, Father of Four is still very consumable. I feel like Offset put together something that people from many different perspectives can look at and say he at least put effort into. Whether you're a casual fan looking at a new project to listen to and you have no interest in Offset or his personal life, I feel like you can get a solid amount of tracks from this project to play for your leisure. If you're a huge fan of Offset, I don't see why you wouldn't like this album. And from a marketing standpoint, the album is kind of smart. It's not pushing the genre forward or bending it in any way, but to say that this isn't the best project out of the Migos solo effort so far, you're a liar. Offset, the father of four. I really enjoyed this project. Thank you for watching. Let me know how you felt about the album in the comment section down below. And yeah, I'm listening to it. I feel you. I feel where it's going. I feel where it's headed. And I fuck with it. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. I'm out. Peace.